Welcome to the Wellness in a Chaotic World podcast. I'm your host, Cheryl Davis. Before we dive in, I wanted to note that as a health and wellness coach, I can support you in making sustainable lifestyle changes, tuning into your own wisdom, and building habits that align with your values and vision for your well being. I don't prescribe or treat health conditions, as I'm not a doctor or a mental health professional. Instead, I can walk alongside you as you create a healthier life on your terms. From time to time, I share conversations with guests. The views and opinions expressed by those guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect my views or those of anyone associated with wellness in a chaotic world. This podcast is for informational and educational purposes only and isn't a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Always talk to your doctor or qualified mental health provider about any physical or mental health concerns. This is the Wellness in a Chaotic World podcast, a place where we're having conversations about what it really takes to live well in our unhealthy, chaotic world. I'm your host, Cheryl Davis. If you're beating yourself up over a bag of chips you ate in a stressed out frenzy, or you can't figure out how anyone manages to find the time to even think about wellness, you're in the right place. We talk about all of these things and more because, frankly, we don't talk to each other enough about what we're really up against every day. Let's change that right now. Hey there. Welcome back to Wellness in a Chaotic World. I'm your host, Cheryl Davis. And today I'm talking about a myth that you've probably bumped into before. The myth goes like this: if you say you want to change, you should be able to just do it. Sound familiar? Maybe you've thought, I want to eat healthier. I want to add strength training to my routine. I want to stress less. And yet the follow through doesn't always happen. Then you start saying things to yourself, really mean things like, what's wrong with me? Why can't I just do it? I'm just not committed enough. I'm so lazy. I don't know why I even bother sometimes. If you've ever been there, you're not alone. Thanks to the way we're wired, plus cultural norms around this myth, this spiral into the negative is way more prevalent than you might realize. And today I want to bust this myth about just needing more commitment and willpower. I want to talk about why it's completely normal to feel ambivalence toward making a change and what you can do to help yourself do what you say you want to do. First, let's debunk the myth. Having a desire to change and committing to change are important, but they're not the whole story. When you want to break a bad habit and start a healthy one, there's usually another part of you that has its own concerns. Whether you're conscious of it or not, your brain is constantly assessing a pros and cons list, so to speak, and doing a risk assessment. When we're in this stage of consciously wanting to change but not following through, what we're really dealing with is what's called ambivalence. There's often something that we still get from engaging with that old habit. There's a benefit to eating the big greasy cheeseburger. There's a benefit to putting off the weight training. And there's even a benefit to something as unhealthy as smoking. The trick then, it would seem, is convincing your whole self that the benefits of the healthier choice outweigh the benefits of the unhealthy choice. But that takes recognizing and naming what you're getting out of continuing your behaviors. Take a moment right now. Think about a change you've been wanting to make. Okay, now ask yourself, what's the part of me that wants this? And how will it benefit me? Then, what's the part of me that's resisting this change? And what benefit am I getting from staying the same? Ambivalence and so called going backward, by the way, are completely normal. They're part of the change process. Change is not linear. That's another big myth we can tackle on another day. But psychologist James Prochaska, who co-developed the stages of change model, says, quote, change involves progress through a series of stages. Most people do not succeed on the first attempt. Success usually involves recycling through stages several times before reaching stable change, end quote. So if you've ever felt like you're circling back to the same goals again and again. It doesn't mean you've failed. It means you're in the natural rhythm of change. Let me share a personal example. A few years ago, I learned that eating dairy was making me very sick. Logic, of course, says the solution is simple: just stop eating dairy. And in some ways, it was easy. I swapped heavy cream out for coconut milk in my coffee overnight, no problem. But cheese, that was a totally different story. I loved cheese. It wasn't just about taste, it was a comfort food, and it was part of my family gatherings, and it was woven into my routines. Pizza night was a regular thing for us then. So even though I definitely wanted to feel better, another part of me really wanted to hold on to eating cheese. And here's where you can see my ambivalence in action. Both desires were true and valid. I did want better health. I didn't want to feel sick. And I also wanted the connection and comfort that were part of eating cheese. It wasn't that I lacked willpower or the desire to stop eating the cheese. It was that my environment, my culture, and my own associations made cheese much harder to shift away from. And that's okay. That's normal. Over time, the pros of giving up cheese started to outweigh the perceived losses. And when they did, I was able to shift my identity from my old self to someone who didn't eat dairy. So let's zoom out again. Why do we believe wanting to change should equal making the change? First, our culture glorifies grit. It's not necessarily a bad thing, but you've heard the slogans: no excuses, just do it. But as James Clear, author of Atomic Habits, says, you do not rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems. Second, we fall into shame cycles. When we don't follow through, we blame ourselves. Think about the last time you didn't stick with something. Did shame help you do better? Or did it make you shrink back? When we hit enough shame cycles, too, we can often end up in what's called a state of learned helplessness. And third, we overlook the role of our environment. It's easy to assume change is just about willpower, but so much of our behavior is shaped by what's around us. The foods in our fridge, the people we eat with, the cues in our workspace, these all nudge us one way or another. Here's the thing: none of this means we're powerless or that it's all the fault of the system. It means we have an incredible opportunity and responsibility to design our own environment and routines in ways that support the changes we want. So instead of thinking, I just need to try harder, the more useful question is, how can I set myself up so that the change I want to make becomes easier, almost automatic? Instead of asking, why can't I just do this? Try, what's getting in the way and what is that resistance trying to tell me? Sometimes the resistance is guarding you from burnout. Sometimes it's honoring a value like connection. Sometimes it's fear of the unknown, triggering your survival instincts and stopping you from changing your identity. So, the next time you feel that push pull, take a pause, close your eyes if you can, and simply name both the voices. Part of me wants this, part of me doesn't. Notice how just naming it softens the shame. There is nothing wrong with you, and now you are listening. And like James Prochaska reminds us, learning counts as progress. Change isn't a straight line, it's a spiral. Every loop teaches you something that helps you move forward. Now, let's talk about a couple of things you can do if you find yourself spiraling downward instead of up. One, you can shrink the change. If a 30-minute workout feels really overwhelming, make it 5 minutes or even just one stretch. This is something James Clear calls lowering the activation energy. Number two, experiment instead of commit. I know we're all about commitment, but Stick with me because experimentation is really key to making changes. Instead of, I'll do this every other day for all of eternity, say, I'll try this once and see what I learn. Experiments are lighter, they're more playful, and much easier to stick with. Can you give yourself permission to run one experiment this week instead of chasing the perfect routine? So now, with everything we've talked about today, when you hear yourself say, I really want this, why can't I just do it? What will you say to yourself instead? Desire is the spark, but what sustains change are systems, self awareness, self compassion, and a willingness to experiment and learn until we're able to complete the shift. So, next time you feel stuck, remember it's not about wanting harder, it's about getting curious, building systems that serve you, and giving yourself grace in the messy middle. You are not failing, you are learning, and learning is growth. Thank you for spending this time with me today. If this episode resonated with you, I'd love to hear what stood out most. Share it with me on Facebook or Instagram or by emailing Cheryl@wellnessinachaoticworld.com. Until next time, I hope you have a healthy, happy week. If today's episode resonated with you, our private Facebook group is a great place to dive deeper, ask questions, and share wins with people who understand. It's free, it's private, and you can join by clicking the link in the episode description. I hope to see you there.